Everybody, it's Friday, 4 minutes late, 3:04 here in Estonia. My name is Kevin Murcko. I'm CEO here at CoinMetro. This is what we like to call, everyone likes to call an AMA. Ask me anything. You ask, I tell most of the time. If you don't ask, I don't tell. We just sit here, I stare at myself, figuratively at you, and it's an hour's worth of just me staring at myself, which probably is boring for hopefully most people, hopefully everybody actually. If it's not boring for you, you might have a problem or two. But anyway, let's jump right in. Make sure I actually have sound, because every once in a while I like to just sit here and talk to myself. Apparently I have sound. All right, right on. Okay, so LH, how are you? Deep Philippe, how are you? LH saying his ICE goal has been completed. What's an ICE goal? Does ICE stand for something there? International Crypto Education. Sorry, I'm having my lunch. Anybody ever tried this? Stuff's pretty good. No nonsense. Anyway, moving on. Not a question per se, but just wanted to congratulate you on all the hard work that's bearing fruit. Can't wait to see what's in store for next year. Yep, that congratulations, I'm assuming, is to the whole team, because it's not just, if it was just me here, we'd accomplish a lot less. So I'm glad that you shout that out to the team. That's great. We love to hear stuff like that. There's still a lot of road ahead. There's still a lot to cover. There's still a lot of things for CoinMetro to do, that CoinMetro will do, that CoinMetro will accomplish. Glad to have you guys all around to see it happen. And without your support, it probably wouldn't happen. So I have to say thank you to everybody out there as well. Any thoughts on Celsius troubles linked with Tether too? Well, the Celsius troubles I know about, at least the ones that I read about, were linked to 2 or 3 states, maybe now 4 in the U.S., filing injunctions. Haven't seen anything specifically related to Tether. If you have a link or something, please post a link so I can have a quick look. Then I can give you some feedback on it. Hey, Robin, happy Friday, Kevin. What's the best way to gift someone XCM for the holidays? Well, people only like to receive XCM in 6 or 7 digits, because if not, then they're just not as appreciative. No, jokes aside. Well, we are looking at the possibility of adding in a crypto or account-to-account transfer option for crypto. That potentially could happen before the holidays. I can't really make a guarantee on that. We're only 22 days out. It's something that we've had on the back burner for a while, mainly awaiting legal and compliance feedback. We've gotten that feedback. We know we can do it legally. There's a few things that need to happen in terms of service updates, but just disclaimers and things like that. I think there's a possibility. If we don't get it there in time, the best way to do that would be to make sure you have an external XCM address and wallet. So does the person you want to send it to, or just set them up a wallet, basically. Withdraw XCM to your external wallet, move it to their external wallet, and then have them deposit it into their CoinMetro accounts. So I would say, you give basically inside a card, you say, go open your account at CoinMetro. Once they do, you can move the funds in for them, something like that. Just make sure it comes from a different external address. That's a bit of kind of heavy lifting. So we will have at some point in the future, hopefully the very near future, this ability to do account-to-account crypto transfers. If we can do it before Christmas, it would be amazing. We're going to try. We're going to see if we can get it done. Hi, Kevin. I know you're interested in Credo. Just wondered what your thoughts were on the tokenomics. Well, I think that they, current tokenomics aside, I think there's a lot of room for them to build in lots of different really cool tokenomic-esque features into that asset, considering what their platform does, what it's capable of, and what they're planning to do in the future. I don't necessarily look at their current tokenomics and say, this is amazing. What I look for is what potential it has in the future to be amazing. You can be too soon, just like you can be too late. So having this great, tokenomics idea, but having no business to apply it to is just as bad or even worse than having a business and not necessarily linking your token to every aspect of that business right out of the gate. So I think there's a lot of potential there. And I think the team at Credo is open to exploring that potential. It's going to be something we're going to be talking about in the AMA we do, which was scheduled for the 6th, now scheduled for the 9th. The 9th of December. Make sure you mark your calendars. Hey, Harold, how are you? Nice to see you here, I hope. I don't want to speak too soon. How are talks going with Vespa? Are things progressing well? Have you bought your bag of Vespa yet? So, talks with Vespa. We now have a shared Slack channel where there has been some discussions. I was in the initial hello, how is everybody? Glad to see you here type of discussion. I haven't been in discussion since. I don't think there's been a massive amount of progress, but it is on a very short list of yield producing passive income opportunities that we want to explore, mainly because there's the opportunity potentially to use their Orbit product to be able to provide passive income on every asset we support on the platform. So hasn't been a huge amount of progress, but to be honest, getting into December, especially once you get into second week, third week of December, not much is going to happen until probably the second week of January, simply because people do take time off. They do want to spend some time with their families. You know, people do want to do other things. This is the time of year that usually happens. So we don't want to push so much if we know that it's just going to get kind of pretty much chopped off right in the middle. And then we're going to end up having to pick it up anyway. And people are going to forget what was happening. The momentum is going to get lost. So a lot of these things are really going to start to take shape early or mid-January, basically early next year. Hey, Kevin, will the new staking update in Q1 remove the XCM staking limit? No, it will not. The reason for that is that we need to be able to build out the infrastructure so that we can actually make income off of that staked XCM. That's not the easiest thing to do in the world, considering that XCM obviously is really only functional and usable and tradable on the XCM platform, on the CoinMetro platform. Sorry. We're doing I've been reading a lot of branding talk about XCM, and now I have it embedded in my head that XCM is a company, and somehow it bought CoinMetro in some type of M&A deal. I don't know what happened. Anyway, so to answer your question again, it's no. We need to find a way for that staked XCM to provide us with revenue and income. If it doesn't, then there's no way to just allow all XCM to be staked. It would be great probably for price discovery, because all XCM would be staked. We'd have 80% staked, and price would go to the moon. But then also the amount of money we would owe to these people that are staking would have to come out of treasury. So to be honest, it would actually hurt us in the long run, not actually help us. So the plan needs to be to establish a structure on how we're actually going to make income off of XCM. Now that has started. Vespa could be a piece of how we do that. There are many other pieces. The more passive income opportunities we have, the more revenue that generates for the company, the more revenue we have to pay staking rewards, etc. So it's not going to remove the limits. The update probably won't have anything to do with limits, but I think the update is going to be massively better than just a increase in limits. I think holistically, it's going to be one of the best passive income systems in crypto, even with that limit currently in place. What can you say about XCM all-time high today? Well, I can just say that it was inevitable. We knew we were going to reach this at some point. We've been talking about end of the year, €1, $1, €1, just that coveted 1.00, getting into whole numbers. I kept saying that I thought that was still on the table, even when XCM hovered back around, 20 some odd cents. I still think it's on the table. I think we still may capture that 1 mark before the end of the year. It's inevitable that to do that, we have to break the all-time high. We're going to have to break it many times, break subsequent all-time highs many times to get there. I still think we may. I think we're gearing up for something that many expected, but we'll still be surprised, I think, at the momentum that we will see going into that push. Any updates on XCM staking? What can we expect? An increase in yield? So I'll give you some tidbits. Not going to give you anything that you're going to be able to guess what it is. All I'm going to say is it's unlike any other staking. It'll be unlike any other staking program that currently exists online, any other passive income opportunity that may exist in crypto. It's gonna go outside of just it's going to break boundaries of the program we have now. It's not necessarily a yield increase. It's not necessarily removing the limitations on how much XCM you can stake either. But it's going to add something to the program that's going to make it attractive for people that might not even be attracted to XCM. It's going to be attractive to a much wider swath of the population. It's going to allow for potential massive increases in overall yield without actually increasing the yield percentage on XCM. If you're smart enough, you should be able to read between the lines a little bit and figure out where I'm headed with that one. Are you going to have THT staking? Absolutely, Kim, we will. More news on that when we get closer to actually doing it, but it's on our very short list. Hey, Kevin, was the recent XCM pump partially due to CM buyback? Nope, absolutely was not. In fact, XCM bought, I believe, almost no XCM in the last 3 months for treasury. We planned to, but before we were able to do it, price started to rise, and we had other things we needed to allocate capital to as well. So yeah, aside from the kind of buybacks we get on a daily basis, which are from fees, no, absolutely not. This was organic. Do you think Parsec will pump soon? I think Parsec has a bright future. I don't like to use the words pump and things like that because I think they're juvenile. I think we need to get away from making this market immature. The market is still immature, but the more we talk in juvenile terms, the more we're going to make it immature. It's not a pump. The reason why assets increase in value is because they have value, and that value gets unlocked over time. It's because the company behind them is worth money. It's because they're doing a service that people are buying. It's because the service they offer is not available anywhere else. It's because of many things, but not because of a quote unquote pump. Yes, there still are, one of the major catalysts in crypto is hype, and that's not going to go away for the foreseeable future. However, hype comes from somewhere. When you derive hype simply from hype, it's short-lived. That means all-time high, right back down to where you started. When you talk about the market in a mature manner, in that the reason why these assets move higher is because people buy them. And why do people buy them? They buy them because they see value in the underlying company, in the underlying service, in the underlying tokenomics. I think that's a slightly different way to look at it. But that's what you need. You don't want pumps, because pumps, what happens after a pump? A dump. That's what happens. That's literally physics. Nothing can go up forever. When you have sustainable increases in price because more and more people are buying into an asset and others that hold it aren't selling it, that's based more on fundamentals. That's really what you want to see. Not the pump and crash or dump, but you want to see the sustainable increase in value. I think we're going to see all-time high. We're definitely, the all-time high we've seen so far in Parsec is not its all-time high. That's for sure. Timeline on that is going to be hard to put together because, one, you have the fundamentals of the company that are doing better and doing better and better over time. You also have, again, that kind of irrational hype cycle, which you never really know when it's going to get picked up. It could be something as simple as somebody, dancing with their shirt on backwards on TikTok, screaming PRQ, and for some reason that starts the new hype cycle. I'm not good at predicting when some random jerk off is going to dance on TikTok, so I can't really go down. I can't really give you a prediction on that. What I can say is hype cycles are inevitable when the fundamentals of the project are going well, and the fundamentals at Parsec are going well. ICO goal. Okay. Very nice. ICO. Hello from Spain, bro. Nice to see you. Nice to see you again here. Well, nice to see you again. I assume you've been here before because you're seeing me again. So nice to see you as well. Did you pre-trim your beard? Bullish. I did. I did pre-trim. I pre-trimmed today, actually. Inevitably, I will be able to shave this beard off by the end of the year, I think. Probably within the next 17 days. What do you think? I think that's I think roughly around the 20th, before we break for the holidays, we're going to see XCM above $1, €1. Definitely above $1. Maybe not the euro yet, but definitely I think we're going to break that dollar. We'll see. Why do I think that? Well, there's many reasons why I think that, but at the end of the day, we are on a progression. I think that we're on this kind of price progression that I don't think is going to be halted in the short term. Can I get my Ignium shares sent from my old CM account to new? So Ignium shares actually don't sit at CoinMetro. They sit at Ignium. So they would still remain in your same Ignium account. And the way that we link your CM account to your Ignium account is by the email address. So if you have a new CM account, the Ignium shares on your old account are not going to link, regardless of what we do at CoinMetro. So you would have to open a new Ignium account. And I don't even know if this is possible because I don't know what the current policy is for doing this, but you'd have to ask or to change the email address on your current account and then have Ignium link it with the CoinMetro account on the same email. Because we don't actually transfer shares that exist at Ignium. We simply display what Ignium sends us from their own database. Hi, Kevin. Today we saw huge XCM market buys. Are those buybacks? No, they were not, Moni. We were not buying XCM, so it was not us. Hey, Kevin, in a previous AMA, you said that meeting Silvio left behind a bad impression. Aside from that, any opinions on Algorand listing plans? No current listing plan. And yeah, it left a bad impression. I didn't like the guy. That doesn't really mean anything. He probably didn't like me. So, I don't know, maybe he did. Maybe he loved me and I just hated him. I don't know. I don't really know. I don't remember how the meeting went. All I remember is I left that meeting thinking I would never want to do business with this man. That was it. And I didn't for that reason. Gut feelings aren't always accurate, just to throw that out there. So not saying he's a bad person, but I don't like him. We don't have any immediate plans. Me not liking the guy is not going to stop us from listing. In fact, it probably wouldn't even be part of the, the equation. It shouldn't be. Algorand has its foundation. It's been growing. It's got some decent large scale players that now interact some way, shape or form on Algorand. I still think we're going to see a massive protocol war. And I don't know if Algorand has what it takes to actually make it to the other side of that protocol war. I think for me, hearing and reading about the way that they run their consensus methodology and why they think that's a better solution than other solutions on the market. I wasn't sold myself. Again, obviously many others were sold. That's why they've been doing, well over time. We may end up listing them. My personal opinion aside of one person that probably doesn't do much in the organization other than be its figurehead or PR head or the guy that likes to be the center of attention because he won some crypto award, cryptography award back in the 70s. Anyway, I don't know. I don't know I don't know if we will list, but that won't stop us from listing. I just want to say that. I just like to be, sometimes, I'm sure at some point I'm going to get in trouble for being honest with you guys, but I'm ready for it. I'm gearing up. When we can meet the team in one of the videos. Good question. Our team is all over the world, actually. So we have people that probably can't be on a video, at least not here in the office. It might be interesting, maybe around the one Euro party to have a big Zoom call where everybody jumps in and just says hi. I think that might be cool. Maybe we can set that up. Can you explain the big spread that we see right now with XCM? Sure, Philip. I can explain spread in general because there's nothing to do specifically with XCM. The more volatility, meaning the more price movement, and with a combination of illiquidity. So tight spread, when you have a very tight spread, that means you have a lot of liquidity on the buy side and a lot of liquidity on the sell side. The more liquidity you have, the tighter that spread gets. The reason for that is the market is trying basically to get trades to execute. Because there's a lot of liquidity, there doesn't need to be much space in between those prices because there's lots of liquidity. When liquidity lessens and you get more liquidity on one side of the book than the other, or equally bad liquidity on both sides, the price tends to move. Why? Because maybe someone isn't willing to sell. Let's say your mean price, your average price on an asset is 1. That could be $1, euro, pound, doesn't matter. 1. Let's say someone's not willing to sell though until 150, and someone's only willing to buy at 80 cents. Well, now you have a spread of 70 cents, 80 cents on one side, 150 on the other. 70-cent spread, crazy. As more liquidity comes in, you may have people now willing to sell or willing to buy at 98 cents. And you may have people willing to sell at 99 cents. Now you only have a 1 cent spread. You have more liquidity. You have less volatility because there's more people buying and selling at more price levels than there was previously. So the reason why you're going to see a large spread on any asset is 1, liquidity. 2 is volatility. The mixture of high volatility with low liquidity leads to massive spread. you can tier your way down after that. Tightest spread would be little or no volatility and massive liquidity. But also high volatility and massive liquidity will still give you a good spread, even a great spread. Maybe not the best, but great. You'll see spreads many times in liquid markets going to zero. You may even see negative spreads at some point. Negative spread means that there's so much liquidity on one side of the book that actually the orders can fill themselves. Thus, the spread goes negative because the buy side of the book and the sell side of the book basically overlap. That usually doesn't happen for more than a millisecond, 2 milliseconds, 30 milliseconds. It may happen multiple times throughout a day. But anyway, that happens for any asset. So it's not just about XCM. Kevin, is the beard coming off before Christmas? I believe so, Justin. I believe so. I haven't actually had no beard for about 15 years. I always had at least like a stubbly shadow looking thing. So I'm not sure what I would look like without the beard. Maybe it'll shave some ears off. Maybe not. Maybe the fact of having a bald face and a bald head will make me look old. I don't know. Anybody want to place a bet on that or something? Maybe we should open up public betting around here about where I'm going to look worse or better. Fantastic performance today. Congratulations. Thanks, Gavin. I assume you're talking about XCM. So, yep, I can't really take too much credit for that. But, thanks. Appreciate it. Glad that everybody's getting a little bit of payback from the market. So that's cool. Any updates regarding Dubai, UAE? I did actually have a trip planned to Dubai last weekend, but unfortunately wasn't able to go. And then when I tried to cancel my hotel and my airfare, well, they were dicks. So I paid for the trip, but didn't go on it. I do plan on potentially heading. Well, I will be in the Dubai or UAE at some point in the near future. I'm going to be in Mexico over the holidays. I'll be back here early January, probably mid-January to late January. Take 3-4 days in Dubai, UAE to catch up with regulators, catch up with potential fundraising partners, and catch up with some of our investors as well, and our token holders in Dubai. Sorry, just taking another sip of my lunch. Do you guys see my CoinMetro videos? I did, actually. I saw one of them. It was good. It was funny. I liked it. I think I even liked it somewhere. Remember, I liked it on Twitter. I think I might have seen it on Twitter. Somebody might have shared it on Twitter. Maybe that was you, but I did see it. Awesome job, by the way. I love what you're doing. I can't wait for the Credo AMA. I'm so bullish on this one. It hurts. Thanks, Nicholas. I can't wait either. I think it's going to be an interesting one. I know Josh from a while back. His best friend growing up was our head of legal initially here at CoinMetro. So I know Josh. I wouldn't say extremely well, but pretty well. I think we're gonna have a really good conversation. So I can't wait for that one. What impact will Ignium and the MTF license have on CoinMetro in the future? So Ignium itself doesn't have an impact on CoinMetro, just like CoinMetro doesn't have an impact on Ignium's future. They're two separate businesses. Yes, we do work together. We will continue to work together. And I'm sure in the future there will be things that we will do that we're not doing now. So we will expand on that partnership over time. But there's no impact. I don't think there's an impact. If one business does well versus the other one not, or one business fails to it doesn't exist anymore and the other one does, or whatever, I don't think generally there would be a major impact one way or another, though I do think we will continue to support each other, which I think is important. MTF, again, not going after MTF licensing, going after investment firm licensing with permissions similar to MTF, but not MTF permissions, but that will allow us, CoinMetro, to go after options and futures trading. The impact of that license, that investment firm license, will be massive. Options and futures by far do much more volume collectively on the market than spot trading. There's also several revenue streams tied to futures and options that aren't tied to spot trading. So I expect it to have a massive impact long-term on CoinMetro. That is the new licensing investment firm, as well as some other licensing that we're looking to acquire. It also would potentially allow us to offer a derivatives market for assets listed on Ignium. So that's where some of that benefit can happen. The benefit being that we would be the only place where those derivatives could be traded. However, we would be providing liquidity by way of that derivatives market back to Ignium. So Ignium's own spot market, or own peer-to-peer market, could potentially have much, much more liquidity because we were providing liquidity from that derivatives markets directly into Ignium. So that's the type of partnerships I would see Ignium and CoinMetro potentially doing in the future, which would benefit both companies, which would have an impact for sure. But the impact of one company on another is remedial because they are two separate entities doing, different things for sure. Hey, Kevin, what's your take on the KDA and Flux withdrawals being held on Kucoin? Well, Kucoin sucks. Next question. I mean, they do suck though. I mean, there's no other way to put it than Kucoin sucks. They obviously don't really give a shit about their clients. They're like most, players in the financial industry. They're there to make money, and they really don't care about you and you losing or making money. And if they have, they probably have some. There's some reason they may be staking these assets while you're waiting for your withdrawals, so they're making a nice income on a daily basis while their clients are sitting and waiting, and probably under the guise of some nonsense that they have to do some upgrades, which should really take 1 to 2, maybe 3 business days max, even if they're overloaded. They have a big team, definitely much bigger than ours. I think it just goes to show that just like in traditional finance, where I think if you ask most people their opinion, does your bank care about you? Does your fund manager care about you? Does your financial advisor care about you? I think for the most part, most people would say, well, most people that aren't, living in a fucking cloud would say, no, of course they don't. My bank could give a shit about me. I could die in a car accident tomorrow. Obviously, the bank's not showing up at the funeral. They don't care. They would probably even delay paying out, my will and all my money to my family members because, it's because they could make some extra income off of it. Because that's what banks do. That's why people don't like finance in general. So the problem is that these unregulated businesses in crypto do the same nasty shit that the regulated companies do in traditional finance that people don't like. And the even worse part is, since they're unregulated, there's no recourse. So your KDA and your Flux is stuck on Kucoin. What do? I'll tell you what you do. You go complain on Reddit, because there's nothing else you can do, because there's no authority you can go to say that, something's happening that shouldn't be happening. I mean, if this isn't enough, I think, to get people to realize the good of regulation. There's a lot of things I don't like about regulation. There's a lot of things I wish would change, and I hope will change, and I think soon will change. But if there's one thing that should be an alarm bell to people, is that if they can do this and there's no repercussion, they can do anything they want. And there's nothing you can do about it. So in summary, Kucoin sucks. What sign-up numbers are CM currently seeing? I think our average over the last 30 days is about 800 sign-ups a day, though we've had spikes above 1,000. Our automated KYC system is now handling somewhere between 30 and 40% of all those KYCs automatically on a daily basis. And we're looking to improve that up to 50%. We still haven't kicked off our first channel tests in marketing, our media buyers. We are planning to spend about 80,000 euros this month in December on media buys across multiple social media platforms. We will be A/B testing all over the A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, Z testing all across all those platforms. You ever notice? Ask people to say the alphabet as fast as they can. You'll notice that everybody has a different place where they like mumble jumble letters. Mine is like the M, N, L, O, P, Q. That part I always just like make that one letter. I don't know why. I guess when I learned it when I was a kid, that's what happened. But it's funny. It's like a psychological experiment. Ask people to say the alphabet to you as fast as they can, and find out where they make that one letter. See if it's on the same one I do or someone else. There's probably a study about this somewhere. Maybe I'm crazy, or it makes me like, I don't know what it makes me, but I don't know why I just mentioned that. I just feel like going off on a tangent. Anyway, sign up numbers doing great. They're going up. Money going to be spent on marketing this month for channel testing. We got approved on Facebook guys to do ads. So now we can actually do more ads than the fake CoinMetros that try to scam our clients all the time. So that's good. Why is XCM pumping? Because unlike Kucoin, who sucks, CoinMetro is amazing and awesome. And that's why. I don't know if that's a good enough answer. XCM is going higher because people are buying it. People are buying it because they see value in it. People see value in it because, well, there's value in it. Simple answer. Any update on Cadena staking opening again? Nope. Haven't gotten any update from Cadena. They still said, I think they said end or beginning of next year. So that means to me kind of Q1-ish. Hopefully January, but could be March. I don't know. Could even be later than that. I haven't gotten an update. I think it's a good question to ask in the Cadena group, but I will try to dig something myself. So when I get asked next week again, I might have an answer. What are your thoughts on NHS and Namebase? NHS, National Healthcare System? Terrible. They're fucking horrible. Or crypto domains in general, for that matter. Do you think browsers will support them natively? They're also the problem of multiple services that mint same TLDs. Yeah. Look, if you look at, standard domain names, right? Everybody knows .com, and .com is the real estate you want to be on. If you bought .io, it's not because you wanted it. It's because .com wasn't available. If you use, .football stadium, it's because they didn't have fucking .com available. You didn't buy that fucking domain because you thought it was great and people would like it. It's because they didn't have .com. So, we now have this, this huge list of TLDs that exist in the traditional side. And to be honest, most of them are valueless, absolutely valueless. I think they're, the whole idea of kind of crypto domains in general, the idea is great. The execution up to this point has been remedial. The idea is great. To get browsers to support them is we're probably a ways off from that. Maybe something like Braze that thinks of themselves as crypto savvy. I said thinks of themselves. Just make sure I point that out. They might be one of the first maybe that try to do this. Maybe even Google. Maybe with ETH domains or something. I don't see a lot of value in it yet. Just because you can own your name on nobody gives a shit doesn't really mean anything. If you can own your name it's like saying I own a mansion. People are like, oh, it must be worth some money. But then you fail to say that it was in, the Republic of Charles Taylor. And then, worthless. I don't see valuable real estate yet, to be honest, in most crypto domains. I do think, you have ETH that was kind of is the big one. And there is some value there because there's more scarcity, because there's more people buying that have bought those in the past and are still buying them. And, there's an argument that they're the original NFTs, which in all shape and form, technically speaking, they're right. Of course, you don't get a picture of a squiggly line or an ugly fucking ape. So they're not worth a billion kajillion Korean won yet, but we might get there at some point. I think there is value, but value is only going to be in certain properties, and .eth is probably one of them. Things like .crypto, etc. I don't know. I really don't know. .com, I think, is still and probably still will be for the foreseeable future the king of domains, and that's really where the value is going to lie. There is obviously other value in the tech, but most people don't give a shit about value in tech unless it means value in the real world. Yo, Kev, do you know Hypercent? I have read about them. Yep. What do you think, and would you consider working with them? I think their ethics and attitude are very much in line with CoinMetro. I am willing to work with any company that we feel provides value, and definitely having a launchpad for KDA that we can integrate into our Invest platform would be amazing. We previously have talked to the likes of Hathor, for example, about something similar. I think we even talked to KDA way before the launch of Hypercent about allowing people to launch their equity or their bonds either through like a more traditional style, which would be Ignium, along with additional features and services like options programs and all that great stuff, and this ability to fundraise within your own communities, etc. Then there's the other side. Maybe somebody just wants to create a quick asset on KDA or on Hathor or one of these types of protocols and just run with it. And I think that'd be great to give them the option. So absolutely, we'd be willing to have a chat with them, sure. Tether has provided a loan to Celsius Network and was the lead investor in a 30 million funding round in 2020. Okay. Well, look, I hate to say, Tether is kind of like it's the poison fruit. It's going to become it's a little bit like the poison fruit, because the origins of Tether, they got by this little inquiry by the New York State Attorney General. But let's not kid ourselves that surpassing an inquiry means that that's it. It's done and it's never going to be brought up again, because we would be fooling ourselves. Tether, if anybody that watches the markets, every time you see a bunch of Tether being printed, where does it end up? The same three places. There is definitely a massive, what would be considered a cartel in the normal traditional world, not like all you dudes watching like Narcos or Narcos Mexico on Netflix, not that type of cartel, but a cartel meaning a group of businesses that basically work together to basically fuck all the consumers. That's what a cartel is. Whether they're setting prices, whether they're controlling supply, all that good stuff. So Tether's probably a cartel, and in that cartel is probably Binance, Bitfinex, and a few other properties as well. I don't think for me, I would want to be linked to that type of business. Me, meaning CoinMetro or my businesses. Will it ever lead to anything? It might not. You know, I mean, if you're doing a funding round and Tether says, hey, we'll give you 1 billion kajillion tethers, you know, I mean, maybe you go, yeah, okay. But, you know, they probably just gave you fictitious money that you're going to give to somebody else as if it was real money. You can, you know, figure out the ethics on that one and whether you would want to be involved in something like that. I think aside from maybe some type of potential legal dispute, which may or may never happen, I think it's more about an ethical thing. So Alex Machinsky, had many conversations with him, sat on a few panels with him, smart guy, intelligent guy. We've had some really good conversations. Lots of things I would say, you know, I would look up to him about. He's done a lot of things in his life that I think are amazing. I think something like this, though, is a bit of a tarnish. It's a bit of a rust spot. You know, it's like having I don't know, like a 1958 Mustang that's in perfect condition. But then there's this, you know, this 5 centimeter rust hole right near the back of the trunk, you know, like just this eyesore that could potentially get much, much bigger and destroy the car and its value. So I don't know, you know, I wouldn't get involved in Tether. He chose to. Maybe he has more information than I do, than we do collectively. I don't know. I think it's more of a potential backfire in terms of business ethics than anything else. I don't think there's probably going to be a legal issue for Celsius because of that. But we shall see. Potentially, you know, if where that money went comes back and has a potential issue if something were to happen to Tether, but you know, they probably cashed out the US dollar a long time ago anyway. Copy trading using XAM as collateral sometime. Definitely something we want to do. We need a healthier book to do that. If we do that too soon, you're going to see liquidations that are going to cause everybody to get pissed off and then blame us. And we don't want that to happen. So absolutely, but there needs to be more liquidity in the book. We are going in the right direction. PRQ and flux prediction for 2023. Not the same price as today. That would be my prediction. Price predictions, when you see someone get one right, you may think, wow, that's amazing. Anybody can predict price. And by predicting price, it doesn't make you smart. It doesn't make you a good investor. It doesn't make you a good trader. It just makes you like everybody else, because you could ask me for predictions on 50 assets and I can just throw numbers out. And on 6 of them, maybe I'm right. 3 of them, 2 of them, whatever. But on the 2 I'm right, anybody who bought into those is going to think I'm really good at what I'm doing. When in reality, I just literally threw a virtual dart at a virtual dartboard and threw out a random fucking price. Bitcoin, 76,400. All right. Sounds amazing. Now, if it hits 76,400 and literally falls back down, people will go, wow, that guy hit a nail on the head. Not really, because I could have done 17 other videos where I may give 17 other prices. You know, a broken clock is right twice a day, everybody. So keep that in mind. My price prediction would be, look, if both Flux and Parsec, or I should say Zelcore and Parsec, continue to do what they're doing, continue to expand their businesses, then there's no reason to think that price in 2023 is going to be lower than it currently is now, regardless of market conditions. Google had Don't Be Evil, yeah, but later scrapped it when they got bigger. How will CM continue to operate if and when it gets to the point you're no longer the driving force behind it? Well, yeah, that Don't Be Evil one, I think, was naive, because you know, I don't think Google is inherently evil, and I don't think the founders are evil. But what's your definition of evil? If your definition of evil is not giving anybody any more privacy, well, then they are evil. But are they evil? Is their business evil? Or is it just the world itself that's an evil place, and generally things as they grow fit the world around them? I don't know. So I think they got rid of it because it was a juvenile, not really well thought out kind of motto. And it doesn't necessarily apply to their business. It's not applicable. Don't be evil is kind of like a value you should have in life. I don't want to be an evil person. But as a business, lots of things that businesses need to do, even ethical ones, to be successful, may be considered unruly or evil by a certain subset of the population. So, business is ruthless. Sometimes you have to make decisions that people don't like. You'll lose friends, you'll lose family, you'll lose, even in an ethical business where you do everything the right way, Stuff like that happens. So I think they scrapped it for those reasons, not really because they think they're evil. I think, a successful business that grows needs to be able to work without its founder, without its, originator. Don't take this the wrong way, because I don't want to sound like somehow if I left, the business would crumble. I don't believe that in any way, shape, or form. But I don't think we're at a point yet where I can separate myself entirely from the business and the business retain kind of what CoinMetro is. Maybe it would become something better. I don't know, but I don't think it would. I think it would cause ripple effects. But I think my goal is that and I think collectively the board's goal and leadership at CoinMetro is to make sure that if any one of us, myself included, were no longer involved in the day-to-day runnings of the company, it wouldn't make a difference. And I think that's the goal of pretty much every company. I mean, you just saw recently Jack step down from Twitter. Of course, immediately thereafter, Twitter became like socialist nightmare or something. I don't know. The point is that that's the goal of any business. I love this industry. I love this business. I love finance. I love numbers. That doesn't mean that, when I'm 100% bald and, hunkered over and walking with a cane, I want to be sitting in this fucking chair, talking about, I don't know, problems in the, whatever department, absolutely not. There needs to be a point where you can separate yourself, where you can do something else, where you can focus your time on other things. We've been collectively trying to work on our new kind of slogan, motto, all that vision, mission. It's not really different. Well, it's different, but it's not entirely different. So, as the company changes, I think we've started to focus on key things that we believe are super important, not just to CoinMetro, but to the world as a whole, to the financial world, to the world, to people, things like access and people being able to gain access and create wealth and not having these barriers, not putting, classifications on who can have access to certain things. All those things I think are super important. And, as long as we create a mission that isn't, don't be evil, something that's more specific and that doesn't need one person to carry it over the line, then it's not going to make too much of a difference. And that to me would be a success. If I were to leave and the business were to crack, some people, if they were in that position, may think that means they did such a great job that something couldn't happen without them. To me, that means they did a horrible job, because if you can't leave and the business maintains itself, that means you did a very bad job of putting that business together in the first place. Hey, Kevin, what do you think about Mena Protocol claiming to be the smallest blockchain in existence, which makes it fully usable on your phone and so on? Any plans on listing? I don't know much about Mena Protocol. I have heard the same claim that you said, that very well much be true. That very well much be true. That's not English. That very well may be true. But I'll put it to you this way. There used to be this saying, and maybe there still is, in the crypto space, in the blockchain sphere, if you will, or cube, I don't know, that I'm in it for the tech. And then it became kind of like a meme, I'm in it for the tech, bro. Most people, 99% of people, well, I'll even say 95, even though I think it's not right. 95% of people could care less about how things work. They just want it to work. Most people could care less that things are on blockchain. Why should they care? If you have two services you want to use, let's just give a stupid example, even though it's not applicable here. Let's just stupid example. Let's say you need to pick an internet service provider for your house, right? One of them's, I don't know, $30 a month. The other one's $50 a month. The $50 a month says, well, we're a decentralized internet platform that keeps all your information on blockchain. All right. And then the other guys say, yeah, we're just a regular fucking internet provider. Which one do you think most people are going to select? The blockchain one because it's interesting and they're in it for the tech, bro? No. They're going to select the cheaper one because it works. It's cheaper. It's the same thing. I used to have this big conflict internally when I was running FXPig. That's my FX brokerage, in case you don't know. That people cared about how their trades were actually executed. I thought, if people knew which bank executed them, which one rejected them, that's information they would want to know. Come to find out, nobody fucking cares. If you tell somebody we executed your trade, which means we traded against you, which in reality is not a good thing. I mean, it's a good thing till it's not, but when it's not, it's terrible. Or if you say this bank did it or that bank did it, nobody cares as long as it gets filled. Even people that say they care, when it actually comes down to it, don't care. And that's something you see in life all the time, right? We've all talked about these things, but imagine, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, somebody told you you're going to wait in line to buy a device that tracks your every move, every payment you make, listens to your voice conversations, and then tries to sell you shit based on what you talk about to your grandmother. You would say, there's no way I would let somebody give me that device. And you say, no, they're not going to give it to you. You're going to pay money for it. You'd say, you're crazy. Of course, now everybody does that. Similar thing, with everything that's happened now in the world with lockdowns and everything. And just give somebody a scenario that, one day your government's going to do this, this, or that. What would you do? Almost every person would say, oh, I wouldn't stand for that. I'd be out in the street. Well, I'm looking out the window right now. I don't see anybody in the fucking street. So, what people say when they're asked and what people actually think and do are usually two very different things. So I think it's a mistake for businesses like this to say, oh, the smallest blockchain, nobody cares. If they provide a service that people use, whether they have the biggest blockchain, the smallest blockchain, no blockchain, a pink blockchain, a red blockchain, only a block or just a chain and no block, nobody cares. I hate to say that in this industry that we're sitting in, but it's the truth. Nobody cares. If they can do something better, faster, quicker, more inexpensive, and it works, they win. Any update on faster deposits outside of euro? Will be converting one fiat to another be possible soon? Will converting. Okay. Converting one fiat to another once we launch our digital fiat business, which is our EMI, electronic money issuance company. That's going to happen probably end of Q1, early Q2. After that, it'll start to be possible to do fiat to fiat. Right now, no. Faster deposits outside of euro. Is that outside of euro as a currency or outside of euro? I assume you mean like SWIFT, etc. We have lots of different conversations ongoing, and we'll continue to have those with banks, with payment providers, platforms, etc. So the answer to that is yes. We are looking at different currencies. We are looking at different systems that can allow for localized deposit methods, and then reducing fees on deposit methods we already have that are more expensive, like credit cards, for example. So, a little more information on this question would make it a bit easier to answer. The question, the high overarching answer is we're always looking for better solutions. What are your thoughts about CADEX? I think CADEX is a great thing. I think it's going to add liquidity. It's also going to add awareness to Cadena. I think there will be many, 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 many more decentralized exchanges built on Cadena's protocol, and that's a good thing. And as that happens, Cadena is going to get more exposure, and that's going to mean more people coming in to trade it, which is also a good thing. So, the idea of CADEX, the idea that the Cadena ecosystem is growing, I think is a great thing, and CADEX is part of that. Free Netflix. Yeah. I think most people in the world do have free Netflix because there's like one guy somewhere in I don't know, some small town in France paying for a Netflix account that literally half of India is using right now or something. What are your thoughts about CADEX? I just answered that one. All right. Nice to see you again. I got a lot of questions for you. I've got a question for you. I don't know why I keep reading these things wrong today. Maybe it's because it's been a long week. I don't know. Have you heard of Multivac? MTV. I don't know why they would choose to use that acronym, but anyway, what are your thoughts about this project? I actually haven't, Multivac. I haven't heard of that one. But if you tag me in Telegram, give me a link or something, I'll take a look. When are we listing whatever that is? I'd have no idea. I don't even know what it is, D-Dirts. Have you heard about Astra Guide Venture? Astra Guild. There's a product called Astroglide. I'm not going to tell you what it's for, but this is a terrible choice for a name. If anybody who's I don't know, approaching 40, maybe even a little younger, is just going to have a laugh out loud moment when they read the name of this company. So I have not, but please inform me, tag me on Telegram. Nothing go up forever, inflation. Well, inflation can't go up forever either. At some point, things get inflated enough where people can't buy them. And thus supply is, supply and demand start to have a wrestling match. But yeah, inflation can't go up forever either. But inflation is a thing, and it's not transitory, that's for sure. What are your thoughts on Quantz' current price action? The project appears to be making landmark progress, but that doesn't seem to reflect in price action. Well, there's a reason for that. Well, the traditional reason for that is that it was overpriced. As simple as that. So, in crypto, people generally get overexcited about things, and they buy things when things go up without any real idea of why they're buying it other than it's going up. And Quant probably jumped ahead of itself in terms of what value it's really providing versus the value of its market cap. And I think the market is trying to find the true value of Quant, and it hasn't found it yet. Once it does, then price will stabilize, and then further events, fundamentals, etc., will drive price again in the future, as well as new hype. In continuation to my last question, will the AMAs continue if and when it becomes mainstream and filled with low quality, misinformed questions? I have made a point to say that these AMAs will continue. I really like to do them, even if I'm not sitting in the CEO role and I'm just on the board, or I'm just some random dude that used to be on the board. I would still continue to do these if people want me to. I think it's a great way for me to get involved with the community. It helps me with many other things I have to do. Being able to answer things on the fly is definitely a skill that a CEO should have. If you have to read a teleprompter to answer a question, you should be fired. So yeah, I like doing these things. I'll continue to do them regardless of where the company goes. Just a shout out to say your new dark theme is awesome. Thanks, Hamish. I'll pass that on to Oliver and Product. He'll appreciate that. And Kane and everybody else on the team. Hola, Senor Kevin. Hello, Eduardo. How are you? Do you have a date for when you'll be able to register on CoinMetro using your INE, which is the voter's card in Mexico for Mexican nationals? I asked you a few months ago, but I'm just checking it out. There is a planned, let's say, revision of accepted identification documents. I'd have to check with compliance to see when that's actually going to take place. I would suspect that the INE will be on that list when we do revise it, since it is an acceptable form of identification on a national level. Keep pinging me, keep poking me in Telegram about that. And very shortly, soon, I will be able to come back to you with an answer. I love the new iOS UI. Thanks, Hector. Appreciate it. You previously mentioned that there are many reasons that a governance token is not going to increase in value. You can explain why. Well, I'm not saying it won't increase. This is an irrational market many times. So irrational markets do irrational things. Imagine an asset that the only thing you can do with that asset, there's no utility. Now, comparatively speaking, now you can say a stock, owning a stock in any market around the world, the only utility that stock has is voting rights. You get to vote. And historically, that was a pretty good utility. So people bought stocks. Obviously, they started to speculate on stocks, and that became the main reason people buy stocks, not so they can get a vote. But strategically, M&A deals, when people try to do forceful buyouts, etc., those votes matter. And that's the main utility of historically, equities. Now, when you talk about utility tokens, they are purposefully built to create utility. If the only utility is voting, then how do you compare those tokens to other tokens on the market that may not only provide governance options, but also provide other utility that creates additional value? To me, the value proposition of a token that only provides governance rights is much, much lower than a token that provides other utility inside of an ecosystem, which is why the tokenized markets are so much more interesting than the stock market, because stocks, aside from speculative purposes, only provide governance, which, to be honest, isn't usually that sexy unless you own a lot of that stock. If you have one stock in Tesco, one stock in Walmart, one stock in ExxonMobil, you're not going to show up at the anholder stockholders meeting and be heard. Nobody cares. So I think the aspect of governance via tokens, via kind of this anonymous governance, is actually a very cool thing. I don't understand why it needs to be speculative as well. There shouldn't be a speculative market for governance tokens. Governance tokens should have a value that either directly correlates to the kind of power that token holds within the entity. But I don't really see, when you compare it to how the tokenized market in general works, why those tokens should hold significant value. Will the Backify and Ignium shares pay out dividends? Well, that's a question to Backify and Ignium. Generally speaking, yes, when you're a shareholder, one of the only reasons you would become a shareholder for dividends. We just talked about governance on equities. Well, the other reason you hold stock is for dividends, to make passive income. So they can And I believe both companies are planning to pay dividends. Yeah. I made some huge profits on ETH, 80% spread. Yep. Very low liquidity there. Any news on Pineapple? News on Pineapple, I think I gave some news on that just last week or the week before. I think there was an expectation that we were going to do a lot more heavy lifting on that project. And I feel that if we get involved right now with Pineapple, they don't have the manpower to be able to devote as much time and effort that's needed for it to be success. And we don't have the ability to support them in everything they need. And I think they'd be taking on too much, and it would turn out to be an unsuccessful project for both companies. That doesn't mean we won't do it in the future. I think just right now it's too soon for them. There are, however, one or two other companies in the cannabis space that I will be talking to in the new year, which I feel may have the manpower, the human resource needed to be able to get the thing over the line now, now in the relative near future. Can you show me MDHC and what you see in them? That's a good question. So MDHC. So MDHC isn't a listing, so I wouldn't use the term shill here. This isn't something we listed. It's a project we put on our invest platform because they needed to raise money. The onerous on us when someone wants to raise money is not the same as it is for a listing. Listings require us to make a long-term partnership with a company, with a group of individuals, and thus the way we look at those are much different than the invest platform. The invest platform is somebody comes and says they need to raise money. We see if we can help them do that, and we do our best to help them raise that money. That's it. And so it's not about what I saw in them. They have what they believe is a solution to a problem that CoinMetro suffers and almost every other company in this industry and other industries suffer. If they can solve that problem, that would be amazing. They had, they had a plan. Doesn't mean we don't have to agree with them. I'm not saying we did or we didn't, but we don't have to agree with someone's business plan when it comes to an invest platform listing. What we need to see is that they have a plan, that they have a plan of how they're going to use that money, that they have a business they need to fund. And simple as that. Is the THT AMA confirmed for next week? I don't believe we have a confirmed AMA for THT. We do have one confirmed for Credo, however. But THT is in the process, I think, of confirming. I think it might be later in December, though. What are you looking forward to with the Credo AMA? I don't know the full details, but it's integrating Credo staking. It's definitely something we're gonna talk about, something that we're gonna want to do. Absolutely. What am I looking forward? Well, I think Credo has a really unique product. I think they have a unique product offering, and I think they're going to do some pretty cool things in the future. And I think a lot of people are unaware of what they're doing, what they do, and why it's different than what other custody providers are doing. And I think it's going to be a cool conversation. Josh is a great guy. He's a smart guy. We've had many other conversations about many other topics. We tend to agree on a lot of stuff. Some stuff we don't agree on, and when we don't agree, I think it's going to be a good debate. So I think it's going to be a good conversation. I just expect it to be a good back and forth with some interesting tidbits of information along the way. All right, guys, this will probably be my last question today because I'm over time. But I appreciate all the questions like always. IPO markets are hot these days. When CM will do IPO? I love these questions. Make XCM to be owned company and CM own and then IPO. Look, guys, I know the term IPO gets thrown around like it's just like, let's just do an IPO. That's not how it works. All an IPO is a fundraise, but it's a massive fucking fundraise. It's not a fundraise for 25 million or 50 million or 100 million or 200 million. It's fundraises for onwards and upwards and over billions of dollars. We aren't big enough yet to do a fundraise in the billions because we're not yet even valued in the billions. You know, having a goal of we want to do an IPO is like having a goal of I want to cash out. That's the goal. Anybody's company who sets out with wanting to do an IPO all they're telling you is, I just want to make this business function good enough for me to cash out so I can buy my Lambo. And then, I don't really care after that. That's not why I started CoinMetro. That's not why I'm still here. And that's not why I'll continue to be here. We all have our goals. Everybody likes to make money. Everybody has their own version of success and what that means. I didn't need to open CoinMetro. I could still be just living on the beach in Mexico, with not a single care in the world. I chose to go balder and go bigger and go and do this. And I'm going to continue to do this. My goal is never going to be IPO. And that may not ring well with some VCs because VCs only want you to do an IPO so they can cash out. That doesn't mean we never will do one. And IPOs are hot. The IPOs are always hot. There's always IPOs. Yes, some markets are thinner than others. IPOs are a necessity of the market, and they're always going to happen. There's never a bad time to do an IPO. There are bad IPOs, and some of that is due to timing, but not because it's just a bad time to do an IPO. It's a bad time for the company to do an IPO. WeWork, for example, not necessarily a bad time to do an IPO, but pretty bad timing for WeWork around their planned IPO. XCM is not going to be its own company. CoinMetro will own XCM. It is a product, not a company. We will do more fundraising. We may eventually go public. Going public is not the goal. It's something that may happen as we go to reach our goals, which is just helping people gain access, helping people improve their financial lives, and helping people make more with the assets they already have. That is the goal. And if that goal somehow leads us to go into an IPO, so be it. But not something that's going to keep me up at night, and not something absolutely that we're not planning yet. Even if it was a plan, we have a ways to go before we would get there. And speeding that up is not necessarily a good thing for the company. Organic growth might be slower, but organic growth can lead to massive, massive, and very quick growth. You can look at stories like Amazon, Apple, and many others on how organic growth led to a massive amount of growth. Of course, after years, it doesn't happen, within 6 months or within a day. But artificial growth, doing a fundraise when you're at 200 million, then doing another one at 6 billion 3 months later, that's artificial. That doesn't really mean anything. We're here for the long haul, I think is what I'm trying to say. So anyway, thank you everybody for the questions. I really do appreciate it. I think it was a good AMA. I think, sometimes the energy is a bit different. My energy was all right. It's been a long week though, kind of tired. Didn't have any lunch, still trying to finish my liquid lunch. So I don't know. But anyway, I think it was all right. Please, if you have a question that I didn't get to, or if you just have a question at any point, you can tag me on Telegram at Kevin Murcko. You can always tweet me at Kevin Murcko as well. I will get back to you as soon as I can. I'm usually on Telegrams. I'm usually, it's getting too old. I'm usually on Telegram over the weekend, so I can definitely reply to you there. Make sure this weekend you spend time with friends and family. If you can't do it in person, do it virtually. As I always say, before you go to do that, impromptu dinner party with Aunt Lucy, make sure you go to that tattoo artist, that buddy of yours that works down at the other end of the city, and get XCM is the secret. Just get that tattooed either on your forearm or a forearm or calf muscle, one or the other. And just make sure, while you're having that dinner or whatever, that you pull your shirt up or pull your pant leg up and just slap your leg on the table. Let them see the tattoo. Don't say what it is. Just leave it out there. They'll get it. Take a picture of the tattoo too and put it on Twitter because I got to see it. And make sure you tag me. By the way, somebody did get a CoinMetro tattoo. I saw it a while back. Amazing. Anyway, have a good weekend, everybody. See you guys here next week. See you guys in Telegram. And thanks for all the support as always. Cheers.